Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 3763. Today's date is today's date is December 17, 2025. It's been almost like morning at 9:06 a.m. All right. I usually record Artifact twice in a day, but yesterday I didn't really record. Like I usually record, like I did record Artifact in the morning. I did not record Artifact during the night. Why is that? And why are you kind of like bothering? Okay, so basically is this thing now. I need to ask so many questions to myself. Okay, yeah, I have so many questions that I have to be asked to myself. And if I kind of like somebody calculating that key, like right now I am asking this what if question to myself, and these are almost like a 200 question. Okay, yeah, now 200 question takes me almost like a basically 4 months. Okay, because if I'm kind of like a recording twice in a day, each question per recording, so that means like basically this thing, it took me almost like a 100 days to kind of like a complete 200 questions. 100 days means round about almost like 4 months. Okay, yeah, 4 months, yeah, like literally 4 months. Okay, yeah. So 4 months to complete 200 questions, and I have so many questions. After this what if question, I have kind of like a why question, like a why is this thing, why is that, why is that, and these are also 200 questions too. Okay, yeah. So there are so many questions do I have, and I have to so many questions I have to be kind of like asked to myself. But question is that why are you kind of like forcing yourself to kind of like giving the answer and things like that, like asking this question to, well, I wanted to understand regarding about the artifact, that is it actually work or not. I know it work, it definitely work, it kind of like add values and things and that that is so true. But the I wanted to kind of like assembly, I don't know how do I supposed to explain this thing. Like I wanted to do something much more bigger thing with this artifact, and for that particular purpose I need to be verified that it actually work or not. It, yeah, I know it's actually work, it's not really that it didn't really work, it work, yeah. But I have to be kind of like assembly is this thing that keep verified that key, yes it actually work or not. Probably. And I know it is definitely gonna work, because you are kind of like somebody listening this thing, and probably you realize that while I was kind of like asking this, giving this answer and things like that, those are kind of like answer are somewhat somewhere kind of like adding some sort of values in my life or information in my life. It felt good somehow. Yeah, I'm kind of like basically I don't want to, like what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that because of this artifact, because of am I asking this question to myself, I'm not really sure that how do I, like I'm not really I'm not saying is that my intelligence level was kind of like a, let's just say a year ago it was 6 and right now it was 10. No, it's not. It's a kind of like a things that now that you are awareing, like completely aware of that what you are being, what kind of action that you do and things and that. Okay, and I can sense that a kind of like a similar difference when I kind of like interact with other people. I realize that I'm kind of like a little bit of matured in a sense. Okay, in somewhat something I understand the fact, and this all those things actually happen is because of the artifact, is because of that the realization is actually happened when I ask this question to myself and things and that. Okay, my thought process change, my thinking ability change. I just don't think about just kind of like a question and answer. I also think about that what if I kind of like give the answer, what kind of like consequences will gonna happen. I think about all the possible point of perspective, and it's all actually happened because of the artifact. And this is one thing, and also another thing is that I kind of like a somebody love doing it, like a kind of like a recording artifact and things and that. All right, so that's why. So I wanted to kind of like make sure that I have to kind of like record artifact twice in a day, so that I'm gonna kind of like complete my marks and things like that. But yeah, it's not really like I should have supposed to be put myself a kind of like a hurry situation, because it's not the kind of like a fact that I will kind of like record the artifact for a year and I will not gonna record artifact for a day after that. No, not really that. I have to be record artifact throughout my entire period of lifetime. Okay, so basically there is a lot of time that I have, and it's not really that. But I realize I kind of like somebody that I realization actually happened with myself. Okay, yeah, that right now I have time to record artifact. Okay, yeah, like basically it's this thing that I can able to be record, but when I am in that particular situation that I don't really have time to record artifact, I wanted to record but I don't have time to record artifact, and that is definitely happened. Because I also experienced this thing because of that. Couple of days ago my friend has a wedding, so I was kind of like simply just busy entire day and night. Okay, now this is just my friend has a wedding. Okay, yeah, and it actually happened multiple times. If I'm kind of like somebody went somewhere or things or that, I kind of like neglect the artifact. Okay, yeah, and I think this would be happen if I'm kind of like somebody having work and things and that. Like it's not meant to be that I don't really have work. Like it's meant to be that kind of like somebody such a work that kind of like a required schedule planning, and kind of like a multiple people are interact with me. Because let me tell you one thing, the way that I'm doing my work is completely depend on me. Okay, if I want to do, I can do it. If I don't want to do, I don't really do it. Okay, yeah, but in the future I have to be interact with a lot of people, and probably is this thing my work is associated with the multiple peoples and things like that. So probably is this thing that time would be have a lot of constraint. So in that particular situation, how would I supposed to be kind of like somebody record twice in a day? It's a kind of like somebody very difficult to me to kind of like somebody record twice. It's not possible. Okay, yeah. So that's why I wanted to kind of like somebody extract everything what is exactly inside of my mind, till it kind of like started. Because I know we're gonna start it early. Okay, like maybe kind of like a year and year and a half, and then after that probably like I will gonna record. Then after, it's not really that I will not gonna record artifact, but the time that I'm putting to record artifact is kind of like a far more less, or maybe kind of like a once in a day probably. Yeah, whatever. It's a kind of like a life journey now. Sometimes now you just have to kind of like a simply um yeah, like it's okay. It's not the kind of like a problem regarding about artifact and busy and things like that. I think I have to be learn about the time management. Okay, and that is kind of like somebody very not really good at time management. Like I'm trying to kind of like simply make sure that my time should supposed to be utilized for me to kind of like upgrade myself in every possible way. But time is a kind of like a thing that is the biggest enemy of my. Because of that when I started doing my work, when I kind of like things, the time is gone so rapidly, just I can't even like yeah. And like basically look at this year now, like basically the entire year has actually gone so rapidly that I couldn't even imagine. But yeah, in this particular year I did a lot of stuff. By the way, in this, like I usually kind of I like basically this is kind of like a tradition that I kind of like follow, that every year I kind of like assembly, every end of the year I kind of like assembly record regarding about what exactly happened throughout my entire year, what exactly good thing happened, bad thing happened, and things and that. So should I kind of like record this thing, look back 2026 to 25? Yeah, let's record. Yeah, it's been like a today's date is almost like a 17 December na. Yeah, so you have to be record. All right, so instead of asking question today, I will gonna kind of like record what is actually happened in this year. Okay, look back 2025 and what is exactly things happened, good, bad, okay, new changes, something like that. Okay, first of all, let me give you the overview regarding about what exactly happened throughout my entire year. Okay, from physical point of perspective or visual point of perspective, you haven't really seen any kind of like a changes, nothing really at all. The last year that I'm following such a routine, I'm kind of like following the same routine. Okay, I kind of like creating content and things and that. By the way, let me tell you one thing. I started YouTube in 2020, and I kind of like change multiple genre. Okay, I kind of like change multiple genre. Like first of all, when I started YouTube, I was kind of like creating travel videos. Okay, I kind of like follow that content for, I kind of like creating this content for almost like a 6 months. And then after that, March 2023, I March 2023, sorry, nine, March 2022. Okay, March 2022, probably like I started YouTube at August 2021. Yeah, August 2021 to August, September, October, November, December, then 2022, January, February, March. Okay, means March 2022, I kind of like started different genre, gaming. Okay, I already explained regarding about why I started gaming and things, and I dropped the entire travel filmmaking video. Okay, yeah. I was kind of like creating this gaming content for almost like a 2 year. Okay, March 2021, March 2022 to March 2023 to March 2024. Okay, almost like a 2 year. I kind of like create the gaming content. Okay, doesn't really work, nothing really at all. It fell very miserably and things like that. Okay, yeah. Then March, then um, March, April. Yeah, like basically I continue this kind of like a April 2023 or April 2024. Okay, yeah. Then my laptop is got burned. Okay, it kind of like somebody burned my laptop and things and I couldn't able to kind of like record gameplay and things and and then like May 2024, I started kind of like creating Photoshop photography kind of like a content creation on YouTube platform. Okay, yeah. Now since then I'm kind of like continue this thing. Now I kind of like uh, change the multiple genre, and I think that now this is kind of like actually my genre. Okay, yeah. Because the travel filmmaking, I started this thing, I thought that ki travel filmmaking would be really good and really great, but the problem is that ki lack of money. Okay, I don't really have that much amount of money and travel for this and that, so it's not really possible, one thing. Okay, another thing is that na, ki the content execution takes so much amount of time and things and that it's not really feasible. It like probably there are so many things do I need for kind of like executing this piece of content, but uh, I don't really have that thing. I don't really have specifically money. Yeah, so yeah. Gaming content creation, I thought that I'm kind of like really good at gaming because it's kind of like a very convenient for me, because I just have to kind of like sit in front of my laptop, kind of like play the game and edit the game and things like that. I was kind of like a bit really inspired by the Mythpat is also gaming content creator too. I was really inspired by the way that he kind of like create the content, so I was kind of like creating content like him, but I fail very miserably. Okay, yeah. The problem is not with the content, the problem is mine. Okay, yeah. Because gaming content creation requires a kind of like a something uh, a humor. Okay, and humor and kind of like a funny and things like that. I am not that funny and humor. Okay, yeah. Like basically I somehow kind of like a somebody little bit of funny, but not that much as compared to the like basically. And as also gaming content is meant to be cater for people who are basically kids and things like that. Okay, and they need humor and stuff like that, and I am not able to deliver that humor. It's not good. Okay, so I wasted almost like a 2 year of the gaming content, and didn't really work out. Okay, yeah. But this May 2024, I started this Photoshop photography and content creation, and this kind of like a feel like connect with me. Okay, like this kind of like a genre that somehow it resonate with me, somehow it kind of like a convenient, somehow there is no kind of like a other people who are kind of like a creating such piece of content. And as also is this thing na ki I feel really free to kind of like create this piece of content because it felt good, it felt nice, it felt that ki yeah, I could do this thing. Okay, yeah. So um May 2024, I started doing this thing, and it's been almost like a 1.5 year. I'm kind of like doing it that, and I'm seeing kind of like a lot of kind of like some appreciation, lot of kind of like a subscriber and followers too. It's not really too much, but somehow I'm getting almost like a 3,000, 4,000 views randomly, almost like maybe like a 500, 100 or 200 follower on Instagram platform every month. Yeah, in YouTube platform there is a very slow growth, but kind of a consistent growth, which is really good. Also I'm bitterly consistent from throughout this entire year. Okay, which is kind of like a really good. Okay, And basically it's this thing. While I was creating this content creation, while I was creating this piece of genre, it good, it felt nice, it felt that this is kind of like a my piece of genre and I have to be continuing this thing. So it's been almost like a 1.5 year. Right now my subscriber is 1600 and wait, let me count. 1000 in on YouTube platform. No, wait. On YouTube platform, I have 1665 subscriber. Okay, yeah, on YouTube platform. And Instagram platform, I have almost like a 12,542. Okay, 12,542, which is also good. Okay, yeah. By the way, is this thing that for the Instagram, basically is this thing na ki at the beginning of this year, I'm kind of like getting almost like a 13,000 follower on Instagram platform, but somehow I kind of like a drop almost like a 500 follower on Instagram platform throughout this entire year. Okay, yeah, I think that a kind of like some lack of, or people don't really like it, or maybe probably is this thing. I learn why those people don't really like it and things like that, and yeah, whatever. It's a kind of like some social media things. Okay, yeah, like you cannot able to be kind of like some grow your subscriber and follower all the time. Sometimes you lose the follower and things like that, so you have to be learn from that point of perspective too, like why they kind of like unfollow or unsubscribe and things and that. So yeah, but what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that ki I feel really proud that I'm kind of like creating this piece of content, that it kind of like assembly is this thing that ki I say it loud. Okay, like basically is this thing na the like I'm still kind of like somebody that I cannot able to say that I'm kind of like a YouTuber and things like that in my community. Why? Because in my community, in people around me, people are not really associated with this YouTube platform and things like that. And another thing is that na ki like before, like when I was kind of like creating the gaming content, or when I was kind of like creating the travel filmmaking and things like that, it's kind of like it's really very hard to convince that what kind of like a piece of content that I'm creating, even to my friends and things like that. But right now I'm kind of like creating such a content that kind of like something really good. Okay, yeah, not only I could proud, but I could kind of like somebody lot of kind of like basically I'm being a lot of creative regarding about this creating content. So it's good, it's great. Okay, yeah. um no, I'm not actually earning any kind of like a single amount of money since 2021. Nothing really at all. I am not earning any amount of money at all. Okay, yeah. Because of this thing, my parents are kind of like really frustrated and things like that. They kind of like force me to get married and things, which is kind of like something expected. But I'm kind of like something struggling all those things, kind of like facing all those problems and things and that, and kind of like believing myself that I could able to do this thing. Okay, yeah. But there is a lot of transformation actually happened throughout this entire year. Okay, yeah. First of all is that ki I realized that ki what am I capable of and what I could able to be, what I wanted to achieve. Okay, like that is one of the most essential thing that you have to understand, that ki what is actually your purpose of born here, what kind of like somebody you are born for, what kind of like a work and things like that. This is one of the really essential question that you have to be asked and kind of like get the answer, and I get that answer, which is kind of like a really good. Okay, which kind of like me understand myself in much more in deeper level, that what am I, what kind of like some value that I'm gonna offering to the society and things and that. And I realize that, and it kind of like somebody is this thing that ki yes, I'm gonna work towards that, but it takes a lot of amount of time and courage and lot of work to do. And yeah, you will gonna know in the future. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna tell you right now. Okay, yeah. But yeah, I'm kind of like simply trying. Okay, I'm kind of like simply being consistent throughout this your entire YouTube content. By the way, there is also one thing is that I already upload like in this year I kind of like upload all my artifact on the YouTube platform, which is kind of like assembly that key, like I kind of like upload those yeah, all those kind of like content on YouTube platform. First of all is that space. Okay, yeah. It's been, I'm kind of like a recording artifact for almost like a 10 year. Okay, yeah, I'm started recording at almost like a 11th of February 2015 to it's been 2025, so it's been almost like a 10 year. I'm kind of like a recording artifact, almost like a 3000 plus 3000 plus files I recorded throughout the this decade, and which kind of like a too much amount of files and things like that. Okay, yeah. And there is a kind of like assembly, I'm kind of like a bit really scared regarding about that loss of data and things like that, because this year I kind of like my memory got corrupted, my hard drive got corrupted, and kind of like I lost almost like a entire artifact data, entire, like literally it's been almost like a 10-year of recording data. I kind of like lost the entire data, but thankfully I kind of like had a backup. Okay, yeah, which kind of like a really good. And just imagine now, you are kind of like a putting effort for almost like a decade and kind of like a lost in the entire hard disk corruption and things like that. No, it's not really that key. Like basically you can recover, yeah, you can recover, but it kind of like adds so much hassle and things like that. And I don't want that kind of like assembly hassle. I don't want, like basically artifact is a kind of like assembly is this thing that key crown jewel of my life. Oh yeah. And I wanted to kind of like assembly preserve it very nicely, neatly, and kind of like things that. So instead of kind of like a saving in the hard drive or kind of like a SSD or anything, it's really essential to upload on YouTube platform. Okay, yeah, because in the YouTube platform I can access anyway, anytime that I want. One good one good advantage. Another thing is that key, it kind of like saves my data. Okay, yeah, so that is utmost really essential for me, because like like basically there is no kind of like a YouTube data got corrupted and things like that. No, nothing really at all. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's good that I'm actually kind of like upload all my data on YouTube platform, which is kind of like a really good. Okay, yeah. Now because of this thing, it kind of like a giving me advantage of multiple things. Okay, yeah. What are those things? Like basically is this thing na ki I kind of like record artifact for almost like a decade, but I haven't listened any of those artifacts, probably just nothing really at all. And why is that? Because it's very hard to listen. Imagine that you are kind of like simply listening artifact. Each artifact is roughly almost like a 20-minute average. So like just try to calculate like let's just say 20 minute into 3500. Okay, yeah, let me calculate how many minute would be. Okay, so where is the calculator? Okay, yeah. So if I'm kind of like take a average average time is almost like a 30 minute, because I usually record article 30 minute, but let's take a 20 minute. Okay, yeah. So 20 minute, if I'm kind of like a spend 20 minute into almost like I have 3500 plus artifact. So let's just take a 3500. So 3500, so that means 70,000 minute. Okay, yeah, 70,000 minute divided by 60, that means like 1166 hour. Oh boy, 1666 hour. That means if I'm kind of like somebody divided by 24, then probably it took me almost like a 48 days to kind of like listen all my artifact. 48 days non-stop, without sleeping, without doing a thing. 48 days, that's a too much. Okay, yeah, like probably just like how do I supposed to kind of like read, how do I supposed to kind of like consume that much amount of artifact? It's not really possible for me. So I kind of like found a kind of like a different way to kind of like consume the artifact, and that is really good way to kind of like doing it. That okay, what are those? Is that ki I kind of like started reading my artifact instead of listening artifact. Now, how do I supposed to read the artifact? Well, that's the beauty of it when you upload the artifact on YouTube platform. Okay, so what exactly happened? Okay, yeah. Like I didn't really knew that, but when I upload my artifact on the YouTube platform, okay, yeah. Like my first choice is that ki I will kind of like only make sure that ki I will kind of like make the private. Okay, make the entire every artifact private. Like I don't want to share and things like that. I just wanted to make it private and things like that. Okay, yeah. But then I kind of like assembly when I upload and realize that ki dude, it's a really good thing now. Like why don't you kind of like share those artifacts? So I kind of like made a public. Okay, yeah. So I kind of like started public my artifact, not kind of like every artifact, but kind of like somebody at the beginning I'm kind of like some public such an artifact that kind of like somebody have something to say. Okay, yeah, like basically I kind of like ask question to myself and kind of like things that, because the it's a raw artifact and kind of like uploading artifact YouTube platform are kind of like a two different thing. Okay, like when you record the raw artifact, you will kind of like mention regarding our stuff and stuff and stuff and stuff and stuff like that. But when you kind of like simply upload artifact on YouTube platform, then probably people might gonna listen. When the people might gonna listen, then you have to explain regarding about why are you kind of like doing this thing and this and that and that. So that's why I'm kind of like every beginning of the artifact I kind of like simply mention regarding about this and that, and I kind of like simply why am I doing this thing and stuff like that, so that people might gonna know that okay, what exactly is this thing, because people don't really know what exactly the artifact. So that's why it's kind of like a bit really confusing to them. So that's why I kind of like simply mention throughout this particular that. So at the beginning I'm kind of like simply public such an artifact that kind of like simply add something really information and things and that and that. Now one thing I kind of like simply happened something very crazy. Okay, yeah. So when I public my artifact and when I kind of like seen my artifact playing on YouTube platform, it kind of like shows subtitle. Like what? Like basically subtitle that I didn't really create subtitle. YouTube actually create automatic subtitle. Like it kind of like assembly, it kind of like assembly just understand my language and it kind of like assembly showcase subtitle. I was like, what the fuck is that? And I kind of like went into the subtitle section and there is a automatic generation of subtitle. I was like, oh, that is a really good thing. Now that subtitle is kind of like a very raw and things like that. You cannot able to kind of like understand, and it's a kind of like a replica of what I'm saying. But when you try to read that subtitle, it's not really a convincing way to read that stuff. So at that time there is a ChatGPT too. So what I did is that ki kind of like a copy that subtitle, put it in ChatGPT, and kind of like a put the prompt that ki correct the grammar, arrange the sentence properly, and make the entire conversation fun to read and things like that. I put that prompt, hit the enter, and when I read that particular paragraph, oh my god, I realized that I could able to be read my artifact. It was like, oh boy, fuck. Okay, yeah. And when the first time I read this thing, I was like, oh my god, this is kind of like a new way of consuming artifact, which is kind of like assembly like really fucked up. Okay, yeah. So that's why what I did is that I kind of like assembly upload all my artifact, okay, for this particular purpose. Okay, yeah. So that I should supposed to be read my artifact. Okay, yeah. So that's why I'm kind of like doing it. That's why I'm kind of like making a lot of books regarding about artifacts and things and that and that. I uploaded those books on kind of like Amazon Kindle, by the way. Uh, and basically this thing in this year I kind of like started reading books. Okay, yeah, because I never really read books throughout my entire period of lifetime, but I realized that this time this is kind of like really essential to kind of like read the book. So that's why I started reading. And artifact is a kind of like some really fun and easy and kind of like some very personal way to kind of like started reading stuff. Okay, yeah, that's some that's most essential thing to kind of like read and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm kind of like reading my book. Okay, reading this artifact and things like that, which is kind of like a really good. Okay, till now I kind of like simply upload multiples of editions. Okay, yeah. But I scrap all of them and kind of like simply redo it again because the context and things are kind of like it doesn't really match. So yeah, so I kind of like redoing it right now. Okay, yeah. So which is really good. Okay, yeah. And it kind of like felt really good to kind of like read those kind of like only my artifact, which is kind of like really great. Okay, yeah. And simultaneously also I'm kind of like creating content too. Like basically my goal is that to kind of like being consistent through the content creation, and whatever the time that I left, I'm kind of like doing it those things like uploading artifact, making the books and things like that. So these are kind of like doing these things simultaneously. Okay, yeah. Now one of the biggest regret that I have in this year is that app development. Okay, I wanted to kind of like assembly like basically is this thing I realized that I wanted to kind of like make an app regarding about this artifact. Okay, like basically is this thing na the stuff that I mentioned, that I realized my purpose regarding about what should I supposed to do in my life. This is my purpose, the artifact. Okay, this is kind of like a realization happened that what if I could kind of like make an app and kind of like assembly that let the people kind of like assembly record their thoughts, record their artifacts and things like that, obviously with the privacy and things and all the stuff and stuff like that. So I kind of like decided in this thing. So for that particular purpose, I need to be learn app development. I need to learn Android app development, and that's kind of like a very much challenging, and that's the kind of like very regretting part about this thing, because I did nothing. Okay, literally just like that. I kind of like didn't really continue. Like this is kind of like something, the app development was part is very inconsistent. Like I didn't really been like learn that much. Like at the beginning I learned little bit of Android app development, and like then after that I kind of like somebody skip it. Okay, then I kind of like assembly couple of months ago I was kind of like started continue this thing, then I also skip it. It's a lot of things. Okay, it's a lot of stuff and stuff like that. So probably is this thing na ki next year I will gonna continue this app development, because let me tell you one thing na, there are a lot of things I'm kind of like juggling at the moment, like basically content creation and this artifact, and right now app development is a kind of like a somebody I cannot able to be kind of like a juggle three things at the same time. It's not really possible. I have to be sacrifice something. So that's why I kind of like sacrifice app development, because I think that na app development is like, also I realize that ki I am not really good at coding and things like that. I'm trying to be kind of like assembly learning all those stuff, but I'm still not really good at that. But I have to be learned. It's a very much upmost essential things to do. So yeah, next year, like in 2026, I will gonna try to make sure that I will gonna supposed to be kind of like assembly make my application, or trying to make my application. Yeah, it's not gonna happen kind of like a once it's is there is a lot of failure will gonna happen and things like that. So I have to be things. Okay, yeah. Now regarding about money, yeah, I don't really have any kind of like some money. I'm not really earning any money. I'm living with my parents, and yeah, probably I'm kind of like simply whatever the money that parents gave it to me, I'm kind of like simply just surviving and things like that. The personal part is bit more kind of like simply very much fragile. Okay, yeah, sometimes I just kind of like simply just get stress and things and that, but it's okay. All my friends are getting married, by the way. Okay, yeah, almost everyone. Yeah, everyone are actually getting married, and everyone are kind of like asking me when you will get married and things and that. My personal life is bit really fucked up. Okay, yeah. My parents are not really happy with me. My mother is kind of like crying every single time, and I realize her pain, but I did not say anything to her, because uh, like basically what choice do I have? It's just like that now. This is kind of like a struggling part of my life, and probably I just have to be face that thing. Okay, yeah, it's not really that key I should supposed to be drop, no, or kind of like a doing a job. If I kind of like a doing this thing, then probably just I just have to lose myself and nothing really at all. There is no purpose of me. So for this pain, I have to be kind of like a I have to be kind of like a somebody face this pain, or I have to handle this pain, or absorb this pain as well as my parents, because while I was kind of like a chasing all my dreams and ambitions and goals, I also realized that I am kind of like really good at that, like a basically it's, but my parents are not, because my parents are kind of like a very common people. They don't want this kind of like a luxury and things, and they don't really understand this stuff and stuff like that. They just want a kind of like their kid should supposed to be do their normal stuff, do a job, get married, have a son, that's it. And I'm kind of like a simply like I'm not doing it that, and kind of like somehow indirectly I'm kind of like a hurting them. It felt really sad or bad to me, but I don't really have any choice. I just have to be kind of like simply just do it that. Okay, yeah. There is a multiple times I kind of like realize that what if you kind of like get out from the house and kind of like somebody started doing by yourself. But this is not also work out too, because it's really essential to me to kind of like a focus on my things, focus on the kind of like a only content creation and kind of like artifact and things and that and that. I'm probably saying if I went to another city and try to, it's like regarding about there is a multiple things, money. Okay, like right now I'm kind of like a living at home, so I don't really require that much amount of money. I need a kind of like a some sort of amount of money for kind of like a this and that, but it's not really very too much as compared to if I went to kind of like simply live in another city. Okay, yeah, money is somewhat something really essential. Okay, yeah. uh, I'm kind of like a living at home, and kind of like some things are kind of like getting me free, like a food twice in a day, and kind of like simply go to the workout, which is also really good. Okay, yeah, I'm kind of like a living here rent free, which is kind of like a really like a convincing for me as compared to if I'm kind of like a went to the another town, probably it add kind of like a money burden and things like that. And where is this money came from? Okay, yeah, obviously I have to kind of like do a job or kind of like ask money to my father, and I would not gonna ask money to my father, definitely not. So I have to do a job, then if I have to do a job, then probably I just have to sacrifice and things like that. So it's not really working out. Okay, I cannot able to go away from my house. Probably it's kind of like a bit of convenience for me to kind of like stay in house and kind of like do my work simultaneously. I just have to kind of like somebody feel like failure and shit like that. But okay, that is okay, because it's a worth of effort that you are putting for the future and things like that. So this is all things actually happened throughout this entire year. Okay, yeah, it's not really kind of like a really good thing from visual point of perspective, but kind of like a, somebody the my thought process, my the way that I'm thinking, the way that I consume the content creation, so the way that I consume the content, the way that I'm kind of like a creating content creation, like basically I upgrade a lot in throughout this entire year, and it felt good. It felt that wow. By the way, at the beginning of this year, I am not able to be kind of like a communicate that much very wisely in English, but right now I'm kind of like communicating really good in English. Okay, yeah, yeah, you can sense this thing while I was kind of like communicating English, which is really good. Okay, yeah, I also build the confidence inside of me. Okay, yeah, which is also really nice, good. Okay, yeah, and yeah, that's it. Okay, by the way, at the beginning of this 2025 year, there is a multiple of resolution that I have to be kind of like somebody started. What are the resolution? At the beginning of the 2025, I kind of like set the resolution that I have to be brush my teeth twice in a day, and which is I kind of like a follow entire year consistency. Okay, yeah, I like sometimes now I kind of like a take a gaps and things like that, but it's not really that okay, I just kind of like a somebody skip it or kind of like a didn't really did it or things like that. No, nothing at all. Sometimes I forget, sometimes there is a situation that I might not be gonna do and things like that, but every time I kind of like a did it, I did it. Yeah, it's been almost like a year and kind of like I did it. Okay, I brushed twice in a day. Okay, yeah, as also is this thing at the beginning of this year, I kind of like somebody decided that okay, I should supposed to be read my book, but at the beginning of the year I didn't really kind of like read that many book, but I kind of like been really consistent. Okay, yeah, and which is really good. So I like basically is this thing I read my artifact book so many times. Okay, yeah, multiples of editions and things and that, which kind of like a really good. Okay, because of this kind of like simply reading the book, it kind of like adds so much value inside of me and things like that, and I wanted to be consistent about this habit in the next year too, regarding about the kind of like a brush my teeth twice in a day and kind of like a simply the reading a book. Okay, yeah, a couple of months ago I kind of like suddenly decided to kind of like learn micro learning games like a Duolingo, Elevate, Lumosity, Brilliant. But I think that now I couldn't able to keep up with that thing. Why? Because of that time is a very much big problem, and that's a very fucked up thing. Okay, yeah, so instead of kind of like a focusing on multiples app, I have to be kind of like continue only one app. And I think that na ki Duolingo is one of that. Ki Duolingo, not for the kind of like some language learning. Okay, still it takes time. I'm kind of like a learning chess at the moment. Okay, yeah, and the rest of the apps are kind of like a pause for a while. I haven't really played for almost like a month. By the way, I paid subscription for that particular apps too. I'm kind of like a bit regret for that, but I cannot able to do this thing because I paid for entire year. So yeah, really regretful, but yeah, it's a kind of like a simply worth of knowing that what kind of and things like that. Okay, regarding about micro learning, would you continue? Yeah, I will gonna continue. I'm not really sure about this thing because how do I supposed to like I have to figure it out the time. Like time is one of the biggest enemy and things like that, and basically time management is somewhat something that I have to be learn. I'm not really sure how do I, because every time I kind of like set the routine regarding about I have to do this thing, I have to do that, I have to do that, I have to do that, and when I do this thing, entire day is actually done and just like my most of the kind of like a work is actually done. It's not really that okay, I haven't really done that thing, but it's a lot of work I'm doing. Okay, yeah, like a basically content creation, then kind of like somebody the artifact, then if I kind of like started doing kind of like app development, then micro learning apps and things like that. It's like all those things actually kind of like somebody it's not possible at the same day, and like basically I realized that ki my time is kind of like somebody very less. Okay, yeah, um regarding about health. Okay, yeah, health is really good. Yeah, throughout this entire year I never really been on sick. Couple of days ago I was kind of like a little bit of sick for a while. Okay, yeah, but it's not meant to be that okay, I have to go to the hospital and things like that. No, nothing at all. Throughout my entire year I am not get sick. I kind of like simply donate my blood uh, two times. Okay, yeah, two three times. two times. Yeah, two times. Like I did it on September, and before that I did it on kind of like something March, maybe March or April, maybe. Yeah, so I kind of like a blood donate twice in this year, and my health is really good. Okay, yeah. My sleeping pattern is kind of like very much fixed. Okay, yeah, which is really good. I kind of like simply control all my sleeping patterns. Okay, yeah. I have to make sure that I should supposed to sleep during the night. During the day, I shouldn't supposed to sleep. If I kind of like a very sleepy or kind of able to kind of like do the work, then I kind of like a sleep for half an hour, and which kind of like simply it's good. Okay, great. So my sleeping pattern is kind of like a really good, and my health is kind of like a really good too. I'm kind of like a taking a really healthy diet, not the kind of like a healthy diet that you think. Kind of like a somebody like basically regarding about diet, I always kind of like a bitterly control. I didn't really eat that much kind of like a somebody the fast food and kind of like a somebody things. I kind of like eat a food at home, so it's good, it's great. Okay, regarding about health is really good. Okay, yeah. By the way, also I'm running, and I'm also bitterly consistent regarding about my running too. I every day I kind of like a run, and which kind of like a somebody, yeah. Now another thing is that ki financial, as I mentioned, financial thing is not really good, but the health is really good, which is really great. Okay, yeah. And yeah, uh regarding about this is all. Okay, what do you kind of like a feel regarding about love and things like that? Have you have any kind of like a feelings for somebody in this year? Not really. Yeah. I never really been interact with a lot of kind of like especially women. Nothing really at all. So probably I don't really have it. Okay. Yeah. Like it's nothing really at all. Like a being fall in love or things like that, or having attraction to somebody. Nothing really at all. Okay. It's also good. This year, two of my friend are actually getting married. Okay. Yeah. Like basically this thing today, like this year, uh, yeah, two of my friend are actually getting married, which is good. Okay. Yeah. In this year I went to kind of like a holiday. I went to where it is, Nashik. We climbed the which mountain? Karsubai? Harishchandragad. Okay, we climbed the Harishchandra mountain, which is in the Nashik, close proximity throughout the Nashik. It's not entirely in Nashik. In the monsoon, we went there, all my friends, and it's really good. It's really great. Okay, it's really relationship with the people. Okay, yeah. Well, I have a really good relationship with my friend, and I kind of like build my relationship with my friend really good. Okay, but other relationship are not really good. Like with the family, it's not really good, and like the reason is that yes, I'm 32. I'm kind of like living with my parents. Okay, yeah, so it's not really good. So yeah. All right. So this is what actually happened in this year. What I learned in this year. Okay, yeah. What I learned from my mistake. Did I make any kind of like a silly mistake? I made a lot. Okay, I made a lot of mistakes, specifically regarding about the artifacts, specifically regarding about the kind of like simply the uh, how do I supposed to uh, uh, execute my books. Okay, yeah, like as I mentioned, I'm kind of like simply making my artifact books, edition 1, edition 2, edition 3. There is a multiples of problem. Okay, yeah. With the kind of like executing things, I usually use AI, ChatGPT, and Gemini to kind of like doing this thing. But throughout this year, AI is kind of like a develop a lot, as well as kind of like a assembly. I also develop through the AI through. I kind of like utilize AI so much. Okay, I'm kind of like using AI so much, not in kind of like a too much way, but kind of like simply utilizing so that I would understand the AI in much more better way and things like that. So that is really good. Okay, yeah. Mistakes, yeah, mistakes regarding about the AI. Like basically there are multiples of kind of like assembly the like basically is this thing now. I kind of like assembly made artifact books almost like a 34 edition. Okay, yeah, but I scrap entire out of it because it doesn't really match with the context and things and that, and I just scrap entire out of it, and I kind of like simply redo this thing entire thing again, which kind of like a simply mistake. It actually happened, but uh, it I learn from it. I have to be understand, like I have to be kind of like create the project for things, and then I kind of like execute the single prompt every single time, not meant to be kind of like a different prompt every single time. Okay, image generation, which is also really good, and things like that. Okay, yeah. Throughout this entire year, what kind of like mistakes that I learn, mistake that I did, a lot of mistakes, and I learn from it. At the moment, I don't really remember because some of the mistakes are so tiny that if I wanted to explain this thing, it's not really kind of like assembly convenient. Like usually when I make a mistake, I kind of like assembly recording the artifact and kind of like a talk about this thing and that, which is also good. Now regarding about artifact, I kind of like recording artifact throughout the entire year, and I asked multiple questions to myself, what if questions, Leonardo's. Okay, yeah, Leonardo question was really good. Okay, yeah. Like I asked almost like a 50 question regarding about Leonardo's, what he was thinking and that, which is really also good. And I have to ask multiple questions to myself, which is also really nice too. Okay, yeah. The resolution, yeah, every year there is a kind of like assembly the something the kind of like assembly a pratha or kind of like assembly. Like I usually every year I set the resolution. Okay, yeah. And setting the resolution is very essential. It kind of like make me a very good person every single year, and that's somewhat something really essential. Last year my resolution was a brush twice in a day. Okay, yeah. And reading a book, but reading a book is not really that much important. But today's year, today's like in 2026, my resolution is that read the book. Okay, yeah, half an hour every single day. Okay, that's the resolution, and I'm gonna continue this thing, continue this resolution. I didn't really think about the resolution part that much deeply, but yeah, I think that na ki kind of like assembly the reading the book. Okay, and what about the brushing your teeth? Like this is kind of like assembly, it's became habit now. Like basically it's not really that key. Like let me tell you one thing na. Okay, so basically when I like every year I kind of like somebody set the resolution, and basically it's like a recording artifact or kind of like a running every day and things like that. This kind of like some resolution. Now I shouldn't supposed to continue this resolution every single day. Like it's kind of like a became my habit, and it's kind of like a part of my routine right now. Like I didn't really kind of like set the resolution that I should supposed to be run every single day. No, like I shouldn't supposed to say this thing because I run every single day. Now it's become my habit. It's kind of like a part of my life too. No, I don't really have to think about that twice and things, nothing like at all. I just kind of like something at almost like a 6 p.m. I kind of went outside and kind of like a run and things like that. So yeah, so it doesn't really have to put kind of like so much put the weight to kind of like do things like it's actually happen automatically. So yeah, so in this year I have to be kind of like set the resolution that I have to be read my books, and yeah. Now regarding about content creation, do you have any kind of like a goals that what kind of like assembly, how many subscriber will you gonna achieve and things like that? Well, I didn't really like, I think that na ki regarding about how many subscriber do I have to achieve in this year, I will not gonna mention or I will not gonna set this goal. Why? Because you cannot able to control this thing na. Like basically this thing what you could control is that make your work is actually better, and that's what I'm doing at that. Okay, being consistent and being kind of like a make your work every single day much better, and that's what I'm doing. It's not really that key basically how much subscriber do I get and things and that, because this is a thing that you cannot able to control. Why do I supposed to kind of like had the resolution that I should supposed to be have millions of subscribers throughout the end of the year? I cannot control this thing. How do I supposed to use this thing? I mean, the one thing that I could able to do is that being consistent and being my work as good as possible as you can, and I'm doing it. That's it. Okay, how many subscriber and follower? Yeah, it's not a kind of like basically I kind of like set some sort of goals that I can able to be achieved at, I could able to be controlled. Okay, yeah, and that is what I'm thinking is that. All right, so this is all my kind of like somebody look back 2025. Okay, yeah, it's not really very good year, but it's a very good year in that sense too. And yeah, I'm hoping for the best. Okay, and basically prepare for the worst too. Okay, yeah, because I realized that basically this thing that I don't know, yeah. Okay, like sometimes I just think that next year would be really good. Next year I would be kind of like started building something really great. I will be starting earning money a lot and things and that. But I throughout my entire year I realized that reality is kind of like a way much, yeah. The one thing that you could do is that make your day, make your everything better every single day, and that's what I'm doing at that. All right. Okay, so this is kind of like a look back 2025. Okay, yeah, and we will gonna record like it's not like that. Basically, is I would not gonna record. It's like that. Ki, yeah, this is look back 2025. This is it, and happy New Year. Okay, and best of luck for New Year, probably. Whatever. This is it. Thank you.